With you another report from a book. It's Amy Carmichael, Rebel Returned Missionary. She was born 1867 through 1951. She was quite a character. So she was a missionary to India for 53 years, but the book mostly focused on all the incidents that took place to form her into the missionary she became later. So these are kind of her early years, and she was a very interesting person. She was from Ireland. She was one of 7 siblings. She was fearless. Now, one day she was with other cousins, and because she was the oldest, she was told, they said, do as Amy does. But there were some poisonous pods in the area, and so she dared the other kids, let's eat those. And they knew if they would eat them, they would die, but they were just gonna do it. So they're standing eating the pods, and then one of the cousins runs to the parents and says, "These guys are crazy. Look what they're doing." So the parents ran and stopped the kids from eating the pods, and then they gave them a concoction to lose lose that poison. So that was good. And then so Amy was sent to her mom to be lectured, and there was one thing that the mom said she never forgot, and I like what she said. It's pretty applicable to our days. God gives life. We decide what to do with it. We can live for ourselves, we can destroy or disgrace ourselves, or we can live for Jesus and be a blessing to others. And so they had stopped at a tea shop, and there was a little beggar girl with no shoes that she was out there looking really hungry at the cakes. And so Amy noticed her, and she said, she wrote a poem about a little ragged girl. It says, "When I grow up and money have, I know what will I do. I will build a great big lovely place for little girls like you." And that's one of the things she did when she went to India. Now the family lived near the beach. So one day, without permission, she took the oldest brothers with her. So they climbed a wall, and there was a ledge near the shore where water was swirling heavy. Suddenly a wave just came and sucked them all up. And Amy shrieked, "Oh, how splendid," she said, "but it's dangerous." They sucked them. So they went back to the house. They were trying to sneak in to get soaked, change, and so the parents wouldn't know. But the nanny caught them, and she says, "No, no, no." She says, "You're going to sit by the fireplace, and you're going to dry by the fireplace. And that'll teach you to go away without telling me where you're going." So then she was busy with the baby, because there were about 7 siblings. So then she said, "Why don't we go up on the roof and we dry up at the roof?" So they had to go through the skylight, 3 chairs climb, and then up one more stool. So then one of the brothers said, "Let's go inside the lead gutters." Now the lead gutters were thick and they were very strong. So they got on the lead gutters. So they were up. Those houses were pretty tall back then. And so Amy was just happy. Here comes again the feeling of thrill and adventure and danger. And so then they're running up the house when the parents come back, and they look at them, and the mom says, "Oh my, bless and save us these days," she said. And then she yells at the father, "Don't say a thing, don't scare the children." So the dad grit the teeth because he wanted to scold them, but they're 45 feet above his head. And so he just said, "God, please help them." So as soon as the children came down, then the dad took the boys, and then the mom had a lecture with Amy. So she said, "Amy, I say you're sorry." And she said, "Sorry about what?" She said, "Aren't you sorry? You took the girls, the kids, the boys to the beach. You could have got drowned." And she said, "No, they begged me to take them. I'm not sorry." "Well, you disobeyed Bessie. Aren't you sorry for that?" And she said, "No." "Well, then you took the kids to the roof and put them in danger." She said, "Sorry for what?" She said, "No one was hurt. No one fell." It was a beautiful view. And the mom is just exasperated, "Oh, you aren't sorry." But then Amy noticed the look of grief on the mom's face, that Amy was just being rebellious. And Amy said, "Mother, don't look like that. I want to be good, Mom." And she says, "Amy, I love you, and I am so grieved when you do wrong." "I don't want to grieve you, Mother," Amy said. But say, "It's not just me. Jesus is watching you, and if you could see his face, you would never want to grieve him again." And that's a big lesson for us. Well, the 7th baby came. They had another teacher come home, but because that year she did learn some things, but she did more teaching than learning, they sent her to a boarding home. So also during the summer, their pastor brought a brother who had been to India with his wife. So every Sunday afternoon, they would have the children sit on the porch and just they spend an hour just spellbound listening to the stories from India. And Amy was really interested in the stories. She was always asking questions about India. So that summer, I think that's what the seed was planted for her to eventually go there as a missionary. She went to this dormitory, Marlborough House, for 3 years. She didn't like it. She found it very restrictive. The girls were kind of prim and proper, and they thought she was just a rebellious Irish girl. But eventually, even though she was quite homesick, she won the girls over. Even the principal liked her. So she still got some stories of mischief there. But then there was a revival meeting. She gave her heart to God, and she decided to obey the rules. And so she completed her studies there and went home back to Ireland in 1884. Now, one day, it was an interesting story. She was, after a church service, they saw a ragged woman outside, smelly woman, dirty, poor, and she was carrying a lot of wood. And so immediately they went to help her because the parents said, you always help rich and poor, no matter who that is. And so Amy and one of the brothers hold the lady's arms and another hold the wood. But they were shocked at the members' reaction. They just sneered at them. They looked disgusted. They just like, what are you doing? And so Amy remembered a Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 3:12-14. God's silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble. Every man's work shall be made manifest of what sort it is. If any man's work abide. And she said at that moment she had of insights that it didn't matter what anybody thought of her. She was going to do something for God. Nothing else mattered but the things which are eternal. Lots of lessons from her life. Now her father, unfortunately, he had owned a mill, a flour mill, and so breathing all that flour got to his lungs, so they didn't give him much time to live. So he died at age 54, but before he died, he told Amy, never give in to difficulty, no matter what the problem may be. God always has a solution, find it. So take a good parents. So I'm gonna do time running here. Basically, she ended up teaching for 10-year-olds, but she adopted all these girls from, they call it shanty town. They were dirty girls, greasy hair, oily hair. They were poor girls coming into church, and she taught Bible class. But the church had a fit. Oh no, these girls are dirty. They're in the pews, and they wanted everything nice and pretty. And so they told Amy takes her classroom out of here, or we leave the church. It was that bad. So that church was not interested in reaching out to the poor. So, but the Lord opened doors for Amy to get a building, and somebody provided the land. And so at the time she had 400 children at her school. They call it the welcome. So eventually, missionary Hudson Taylor comes recruiting missionaries, and so the call eventually came for Amy to live as a missionary. She started in Japan. So the rest of the story had to be another book report, but I thought there were a lot of lessons from her life for us now. So thank you folks for listening. So we'll divide up for our class, adult class in the sanctuary, one on the boardroom. For visitors, there's one on the junior room, and their children's classes are along the hall. Thank you and have a good day. Do we have any